Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Who else is going? Who is T? You better put your full name there. Guys, this is a professional network. When you join our network, please put your full name. This is a professional network. You don't want to appear as anonymous. It doesn't speak well of your brand as somebody who wants to network. Okay, so please change that name, please. Remy, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Remy Obadino, Remileko Obadino. I'm working with City of Winnipeg as a store supervisor. So I've been in the supply chain industry for the past 20 years. And I've been part of the serial projects, learning and contributing my quota to the development of the group, and also trying to do more certification, which I'm still thinking about. But as I would say, it is just has been a good one, at least networking with the serial project, and also trying to showcase my skill set to others that comes around me. So I'm here this afternoon or this morning also to contribute and also to learn from each other. That's all about me. Thank you.
Welcome, Remy. Always pleasure to have you here. As Remy has indicated, we want this to be a for us by us network. People come in, they seek for help, and then once they are good to go, they also come back to support. So that's what you see going on here with both Remy and Paul as well. Who else wants to go?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay. That's Bayo. Okay.
Good morning. Morning, everybody. My name is Bayo Shinuga. I have a background in mechanical engineering and over 20 years experience in engineering, project management, operations management. I currently work as the manufacturing process trainer, stroke industrial engineer for an electronics assembly plant out here in Saskatchewan. I've I started I joined this Syria projects 3 years ago now. 3 years ago now, yeah, and I've really benefited from the project, from all the programs, and I'm here to also do my part to give back to the community as much as I can. I've participated in all the events and everything that we do, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. You're welcome. Bayo. Who else? Who else want to go for it? So we've had Bayo, we've had Remy, we have Paul. So the guys that are joining us, please, can you introduce yourself briefly before we start? I can see Chika join us early. So Chika, can you introduce yourself? Then followed by Christian. After Christian, David. After David, Tito. Let's go in that order, please. And then maybe after that, we can have Ayodeji. Christian? Okay, so Chika first. Let's go for Chika first.
Hello, good afternoon.
Christian, we'll take you after Chika. Okay, go for it, Chika.
Okay, good morning. Yeah, my name is Chika Moyeka. So, I started my career as a teacher. I mentioned it earlier in our previous
Session.
session. Yeah. So, and I was also opportunity to work in a pharmacy It's actually a family pharmacy. So it's the Kaka pharmacy. So I worked there as um, administrative assistant for a period of 2 years before we relocated to Canada by April 8th. So I've attended so many sessions, you know, like last week I attended um it says newcomer event.
Okay.
So yeah, we're encouraged there to make friends with people that have other connections. It may not be people who are professionals, maybe like doctors or nurses or lawyers. People that are entrepreneurs, yes, you can still meet them and they will train us. We can also be our own, can be self-employed. So they encourage us to be self-employed and we do not feel that we cannot make it in Canada. That when we tell ourselves that it's either we make it or we make it, that will keep us going. So I'll never forget that last statement. Either you make it or you make
Marachi,
it.
All
this
right, that's an
that
interesting take. I didn't remember all of that though.
maybe it's present.
Okay, nice to have you, Chika. Christian, you can do that now. You can introduce yourself now. And by the way, Chika, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Winnipeg.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, sounds good. Okay, Christian.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes. My name is Christian Amabino. I'm currently in Waterloo, Ontario.
Okay.
I'm in Canada on a student visa. I'm enrolled in Conestoga College. I'm in the early childhood education program. But prior to now, for back home, I was an editor for a magazine and a newspaper. I was the editor of Broker Magazine and Relay newspaper. So coming to Canada, it's really been a whole lot of story, but we're here and I'm looking forward to connect. This is actually my second week. Last week I was in the program. I attended the meeting too, so
Oh, cool.
that was yeah.
Okay, nice to see you again, Christian. And the reason why we encourage this introduction is it's something that you need to make it a part of yourself because you will be going to networking events, and it's not that time you're not thinking, okay, what should I say and things like that. So once you practice it regularly like this, it becomes part of you and easier for you to introduce yourself anytime you meet yourself in the networking situation. So, David, are you there? Tito has mentioned that he's not able. I'm not even sure if he's a lady or a guy, but he said he's at work, so we'll skip Tito. But David, are you there? David, okay. Last call, David. Okay, let's move on to Olakunle. I can see you on the screen. That encourages me to to call you to introduce yourself. Go ahead, Olakunle.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I just came into Canada 2 months ago.
Okay.
So we're refugee claimants actually.
Okay.
So
Well, can you
I'm
tell us
not.
about your background professionally? Um, what are the ways that you have, maybe added value to your previous employer, things like that?
Actually, I'm a medical doctor in the Nigerian Army.
Oh, cool.
So I just I left because of so many issues.
Okay.
Came in with my family actually.
Cool. Awesome. So, what are you looking forward to in Canada?
Well, I met some doctors. It's just that the pathway is quite far. So many exams to do. So, but in the meantime, I need to do something before then. So I'm just waiting for my work permit, and so that. But in the meantime, I want to look for something doing actually. Not really
Okay.
started something.
Okay. So what I would say is, you're doing the right thing, like joining a networking event, because this is where you probably might be able to meet people who have common pathway as yours, and from there you may probably be able to share their insights with you on how to proceed, how to get going, in terms of integrating, given all the circumstances and all the professional background that you had mentioned that you have. So
Yeah.
usually this event, it's general, even though we are focused more on supply chain, project management, and operations management professionals. Um, it is not awkward that you mentioned something just now that you want to get to do something. I've actually met a medical doctor in Canada who transitioned to a supply chain role because of his background. So your background might be different, but he had a background where I think he was involved in some pharmaceutical activities as well. So he was able to use that to transition to an healthcare related supply chain role. So, like you said, open yourself to other opportunities while you're working on your licensing. I think that's just kind of the way to easing into the economy here. So, nice
Thank,
to have you. Luckily, you're welcome. So,
thank you so much.
I also see Tito's introduction. So, let me read it out. So, Tito clarified that she's a lady. Okay. I have a degree in accounting and about 4 years of experience in customer care support before moving to optimization manager in a fintech in Nigeria. I currently co-own a loan company. Moved to Winnipeg in October as a student. I'm looking forward to networking and project sampling to building a good career here. Yeah, so that's to do. Okay, so we'll go ahead to discuss the topic for today without much ado. It's in two different segments. As it is, we're supposed to have a guest speaker recruiter today, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it. We'll see. If he's able to make it, we can accommodate him still. But one thing we would like to do is to clarify on how uh, job search works from resume perspective, and then we will have you do an assessment yourself of your resume. Like a self-assessment to say, okay, this is what I think about my resume. And then after that, we will have the guest assessors here, that is Remy, Bio, and Paul. We will have them actually look at your resume. So I sent a message in advance that would, rather that you have a job that you are targeting, so that they can use it as a way to benchmark your resume. So that way it'll be more effective to actually assess your resume against a job application or job advert, rather than just looking at it as it is. Let's compare with a particular job advert that you have applied to, and that will be more effective in providing our guidance on how to improve that resume. So that's really how the whole session is going to go. But I'm just going to cover the basics so that you will understand how job search generally works in Canada. Yeah, I see this red mark on my screen. I actually don't know where it's coming from. Um, yeah, it's funny that it's showing on the screen everywhere, but I don't know where it's coming from. Okay, well, I can only get in the way, but I think I'll be fine. So I had mentioned earlier about myself. So this is my experiences. Currently, my projects under the Sierra Project Services, the Supply Chain Industry Network, the Supply Chain School Canada, and then we will do platform for businesses where we're helping with ERP implementation for small businesses. So we're talking about SWOT resume and then optimization. So we'll look at job search challenges, and also from resume perspective, what those challenges are, maybe the way you are experiencing it currently, and the way other guys might be experiencing it. So we'll do a survey after. So for with these surveys, we will also be able to see this is your self-assessment. You're self-assessing yourself on your resume, and then you'll be able to have an idea of what people think about their resumes, and then we'll go and look at how we should actually approach writing a resume through the technique that I developed that I call the SWOT resume, which is a concept that is very common, so it's not a big deal, but it's something that you can have a different perspective on how to actually write a resume than what probably is out there. And then we'll look at the job advert analysis. So there's a way you need to analyze a job advert. I will show an example on my screen. And then after that, we will go into the breakout session. We can come back and look at the optimization issues and question and answer after that. Okay, so here are the general challenges that we'll have when it comes to job search in Canada. It's very unique to immigrants. So this is basically meant for immigrants. So I hope you are one. If you are joining also, this will be something that will be relevant to you. Usually there's the challenges with limited professional network. So for some of us that have been introducing ourselves, I think that's a common theme that we've heard so far in terms of people are trying to get out to connect. So foreign trained professionals, I think there's an echo there. Somebody's okay. So foreign trained professionals are confined to the random online job search given their limited social capital. So when you left your home country, wherever that is, you probably before you left, you had a lot of people within your network you built over the years. People within your social circles, your friends, family, professionals, colleagues, people you went to school with. So these guys, one way or the other, have been part of your journey, and they've been providing support one way or the other, no matter how you want to look at it. But then when you decide to come to Canada, you realize that all those connections you had prior to that time, you severed them as a result of leaving your home country to come to Canada. So this creates this situation where when you are now looking for opportunities, you have limited access because guess what? All those social networks, you need to now build them from the scratch. And it takes effort, it takes time. And this is what one of the things we're doing here as we meet here online. So there's also the situation with paperwork. So whenever we're talking about jobs, so there seems to be this emphasis on paperwork. And of course, it's just the way that the industry has, you know, been built over time, where everything needs to be documented. It has to be a particular standard operating procedures to the way things are done. So this also reflects on the way that employers are seeking um, employees or filling roles. Let's just put it that way. So over time in the academic environment, this has gotten transferred to how people are taught on job search, which unfortunately, when you really look at the way the industry works, it's not quite as straightforward as that. And in the last session, we talked about that situation that we call the pyramid, the hiring pyramid. That is also here in Canada. When you are trying to get a job, there's a situation where you need to know somebody to bring you into that company, maybe through referrals and things like that. And employers have said over and over that that is the best way they've gotten employees, over through researches that I have personally conducted and spoken to stakeholders in the industry. So what that means is that a lot of us, because of this limited social capital that we have, we are we are constrained to just applying the jobs online, whereas the majority of the opportunities are actually through your social connections. I hope that makes sense. So, what we are going to do today, though, is the paperwork we're focusing on. We talked about the socialization aspects before now, but there will be the next slide you will see this other aspect that you need to focus on when you're job searching. So also the lack of Canadian work experience is a major issue. And the way I explained this also is similar to not having that social proof. Okay, fine, you did great in Nigeria. What is the proof that you can do well here in Canada? You don't have that because you haven't worked in Canada. So all you might have as a newcomer is just your resume to showcase your skills and your experience. But the onus is on the employer to actually uh, confirm or ensure that they are not making and hiring mistake. So usually the way employers do this is in different ways. I've explained some of them before. An example I usually give is if a recruiter is trying to fill a role, they will actually rather poach somebody from another company because they know that guy is performing in that company is the reason why he's still employed. Right? So they will rather go for those who are already employed. And this is really the reason why you see this Canadian work experience thing being an issue for foreign trained professionals or immigrants because you're just in you haven't done anything anywhere. So how what proof do I have that okay I can do this except for the experiences you have from your own country, right? So and this is where it is then very very important that you connect to a network of like-minded folks who actually can stand up for you and say okay I worked with this guy when I was in my home country and I think he could do it. He was my colleague then, and I'm working here in Canada now, and I could, refer that person who is a uh, new person in Canada. However, we work together as a colleague, and I think I've given an example before of a guy like that who worked with me in the past, and that's how he got the job because he worked with a colleague back home. And then when the guy supervisor was looking to fill a role, yeah, I told his boss that I have somebody who can do it. We work together in Nigeria, and the guy said, "Send me his resume." That same day, they employed the guy, and they told him to go and apply online. So, so after he's employed, right, they told him to go and apply online. So you see, the way this thing works is not really about the paperwork. Is what I'm trying to say here. It's really about whom you know a lot of the time. So, and this is like kind of a breakdown of what you need to be doing differently. Let me stop sharing these things. Kind of irritating for me right now. This thing on my screen. I don't know where it's coming from. Just give me a second. Let me figure this out. Really? Okay, I think it's. I think it got out of the way just now. Okay, so let's give me a second. Let me see what I can do. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for now. Okay, I think it's gone now. Yeah, it's gone now. Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's probably I pressed on the annotation tool. The annotation tool here. Okay, we got that one out of the way. So it's really irritating me all of a sudden. Okay, so this is like this is basically when we say job search roadmap. These are all the steps that you need to, or let's say the things that you need to really take care of. You know, if you are looking to transition in Canada to your desired professional, desired role as soon as possible. The first one here you see is the leverage referrals, and I've said this over and over time that the way employers are hiring is totally different from the way you are approaching it. Basically, they like to hire people through referrals because over time it's been proven that people that they hire through referrals actually perform better, and we know the reason why. When you bring somebody into the company, you know, the person that you brought in definitely don't want you to lose your job, so they have to perform. So for these reasons, employers have noticed over and over that referrals actually perform better and they stay longer. Of course, it's because of the loyalty you have for this person who brought you into the company. Then get a mentor. So mentor are basically your guide, and you need guide on every journey, regardless of what that journey is, be it job search, be it career, be it entrepreneurship. You need somebody who has done it, somebody who has made mistakes, and then you could avoid those mistakes. Get a job search strategy. So a lot of the time, the strategy is pray and pray by most people because of those challenges we mentioned earlier, the lack of social capital. So people just will write up these resumes and be sending resume all over the place, and well, the results usually are very poor. You don't get any response most of the time. We'll look at that soon. SWOT resume. So this is the one we're focusing on today. So this is 99% of resumes end up in a trash can, courtesy of ATS. So this is a software that is usually in the back end of all those application websites. So immediately you put your resume in, it already scanned it, and if it deem it fit that is not worth the time of the person that will be reviewing it, be it an HR person or a hiring manager, it already dumps that resume because it doesn't want to waste the time of the hiring manager reading a resume that doesn't even match what they are posted. Seek feedback. This is also very critical. This also connects back to the mentoring that I talked about earlier. You need to have feedback on an ongoing basis, otherwise, you're going to be frustrated. It's just like you're hitting your head against the wall if you don't have somebody like debriefing you, providing feedback. Most of the time, you expect the employer to do it, but they don't. Most of the time, you get ghosted, when they are not, employing or not moving you to the next interview phase. So you need somebody to help you with that. And then upgrade your mindset. So this is key. This applies to everything that you're doing on your journey, regardless of what that journey is. There are a lot of frustration on the journey to success. So you will need to have this. I call it growth mindset. So growth mindset basically is these events are happening, be it frustration, rejections, every other thing in between. But what do you learn from these events so that you can improve going forward rather than what others will do is what is I've gotten the opposite of the growth mindset. There's actually a book written about this. It's just kind of a summary of what that book is saying. That if you are not using a growth mindset, you'll tend to see yourself as a failure rather than seeing the event that are happening around you as the failure. And because of this type of underlying psychological um, emotions, you um, you will not be learning. You won't be using these experiences as a leverage to learn and improve and get better at what you're trying to achieve. So upgrading your mindset is a major. In fact, I call this the most important out of all of the things that I have here on the screen here. So there's something that I will, I don't talk about this one often, but there is the thing that we call the job search funnel. So which relates to the challenges with resumes. So this is something from Workopolis. So Workopolis is a job search is it- is a job search page, right? Website, where you can apply to jobs and things like that. And what they had come up with based on their own research is that 75% of applicants are not qualified. Right. So what really happens is so we need to do a little bit of a map here. So on the right hand side, you actually see what is going on when people are or when companies are filling a role. So 98% of these job applications are screened out, right off the web application page. They already took out like 98% of the applications, and then only 2% or less than 2% are shortlisted. So that would be, let's say, five, let's say three, thereabout. Sometimes it could be more than that. And of course, the people that are hired are less than 1%. So they could hire maybe two people if they have multiple roles they are filling. But what is the point of the math here? See, if you see what is on the left, it's saying 75 of applicants are not qualified. Only 75% are garbage resume. So from the experiences of recruiters, they will put a post out there that we're filling a role. These roles are actually
Thank you.
uh, low level roles, by the way. I think somebody is speaking. Low level roles, entry level roles, and then you see 500 applications, And what Worker Police is saying, 75% of these 500 applications are just a waste of time. They are not worth your effort and your attention. But now, when we actually look at the people that wound up being, you know, disqualified right off the bat, it's 98%. So you have a gap there. So meaning that 98 minus 75% of applicants are actually qualified, but their resumes are getting lost in what we call the black hole. So you put in an application and then you don't get to hear anything, like nothing. I, talk to people regularly and they tell me they put in like maybe 10 applications per day, meaning 50 per week. Okay, if we do the math. Now, 50 per week applications and zero response. So something is not adding up here because these particular statistics here is showing us that, yeah, there are quite a large number or high number of people who are actually qualified, but then their resumes are not seen. Okay, so that is a dilemma we have here. So, and that might be your situation. Like, you're qualified for this role, you apply to this role, but you're not getting any feedback from no one. In fact, zero. Like, they didn't even confirm that your resume has been received. So, the chances that your resumes are not seen in that case is very high. So, let's look at why that is happening. Let's look at why this is happening. So I've spoken with some stakeholders. I've spoken with HR folks, about these situations, hiring managers as well. Okay, what are you guys looking for? What is the problem here that we job seekers are not seeing? So here are some of the things that I've learned from them. So I think somebody wrote about the okay, it's lucky. Okay, so growth mindset involves learning from our mistakes and being open to feedback. They emphasize the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. Yeah, the mindset fosters resilience, encourages continuous learning, and also improves challenges and opportunities for growth. Great, I love that. That's a very good breakdown. So here is the thing. This is a roadmap to success that lucky put in there. Because I see a lot of people, they have this goal that they want to achieve, but then, you know, like every other goal that you have in life, there are always things that will get in the way. But because you haven't developed a growth mindset, you're going to give up. Some people, they are even very close and all of a sudden they give up. And I see it happen every time, right? There is this popular quote by Mike Tyson, right? That says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So saying that life happens, but what really is important is that how do you respond to that event, that punch in the face? How do you respond to it? Because it is your response to that event that determines your success. It is not that event itself, but your response to that event that actually determines if you're going to be successful. So that's kind of a summary of what Lucky wrote there in the chat box. So it's talking about the growth mindset. So let's go to the expectations of the stakeholders. So just like every other project, you have stakeholders in projects, right? So it's the same thing with job search. There are stakeholders, and I just kind of pick three important stakeholders here. So the candidate themselves, they also stakeholder on this project, right? Because in fact, they have a huge control over the outcome of this process, and this is what we're going to be focusing on later. Like what are the controls that you actually have that you need to take charge of, beyond just expecting that you make the short list, because that's really what most people are focused on when they apply to job. Oh, you just make the short list for the interview, get called for the interview. That's all you care about. But you really have control over this process, and this is things that we'll be looking at soon. So let's go to the other guys, the hiring managers. Of course, they want this person to have domain expertise, like they can showcase their capability. They have a social proof of their capability. So you're not just throwing a resume up and saying, "Oh, I have all this fantastic experience and qualifications and every other thing in between." That is the baseline. That's the minimum you can do, right, to convince an hiring manager. So there are several other things that you could do to convince a hiring manager. Uh, when it comes to social proof, your LinkedIn is one of those things. I've also mentioned that you need to reach out to your colleagues who are already in the industry. And the network that we provide here is one of those opportunities for you to meet with your colleagues. Most of the time, your colleagues understand the journey you're going through. So they are able to support you, or they're able to empathize because they have gone through it before, so they could support your journey in different ways. And by the way, some of these guys are actually the hiring managers. See, so some of these guys that are your colleagues, because they're your colleagues, is your senior colleagues. Let's just put it that way. So some of them are the hiring managers. So even if today they don't have a job that they are filling, and let's even say, even today, they are not in that role where they have the influence to hire people. You don't know whom they will be in the next few years, in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years. So when we approach things from the social group, we're not just doing it for today. We're doing it such that over time, we build this social proof. And there are several ways you can do that. Example on LinkedIn, the recommendation from your former supervisors. So if you go to your LinkedIn, there's a recommendation section. Do you have your former supervisor saying that I can vouch for this guy, he has done this, he has done that? Your former colleagues, your former suppliers. I mean, I could go on and on. There's several people that you could use um, their recommendations to help provide a social proof. If you have noticed, if you apply to a job, the first thing you realize is that somebody checked out your LinkedIn from that company, and it's most likely going to be that hiring manager. The reason why they do this is they don't want to make hiring mistakes. They want to make sure that it is not just the resumes that I'm seeing that I'm making my decisions on, right? So they would like to check you out. So the other thing is the communication skills. Do you communicate clearly? And I always say this about supply chain professionals, that we tend to think it's all about, our abilities, our technical skills, and all these other skills. But soft skills is very, very critical if you work in supply chain, project management, and operations management. Guess what? You have to communicate with suppliers, you have to communicate with stakeholders on the project, you have to communicate with your colleagues. So if you cannot convince me, maybe at an interview or through the initial phone calls that I make with you, that I can hear you clearly, yeah, you see, the chances that they are going to ghost you, like they're just going to disappear because they don't want to say that it now looks like they are discriminating you based on your communication skills or maybe your ethnical background. So this is some of the reasons you will see them disappear. So human resources also have their own expectation. Generally, it's about you know compliance with the company's policies most of the time. Do we follow the process? So I call them gatekeepers, and I say it with all honesty because my own profession is also in procurement. We hire suppliers and we also gatekeepers. They just put it the way it is. We have these processes, that we use in selecting suppliers. But guess what? A lot of the times, the hiring managers already know the best fit for the job that they want to do, or the project sponsors already know whom will be able to deliver the job, and their interests really supersedes the human resources interest because they are the ones that are responsible for your performance. So even if you're able to scale through the HR processes, the interviews, and everything, and it still appears that I'm not getting this guy's vibe. I don't think I'll be able to work with him. Maybe they don't see you as a friendly person or things like that. Yeah, they will do the paperwork. to eliminate you regardless of how great you think you are. So all of these things are, I want to see in these different levels of this ramification of influence. The hiring managers has the most influence, unless their director has interest in whom is hired. So this is why you will see for some type of roles, you still have to talk to the director or even vice president, depending on the level and the importance of that role, because your role could be impacting the VP's performance, and they want to know who is hired on this job to make sure, right? So these are the different levels of influence and stakeholders that we have in the hiring process. So now those expectations are what you will see that are highlighted in the job advert. And in the job advert, you probably will see the company's value, the projects that are important to them that they're working on, the performance expectation, like what are the specific things that we want this person in this role to deliver on. It's there. A lot of people don't pay attention to it. So I'll show you a job advert now that shows these things here. Of course, the obvious ones are the responsibilities, the qualifications, the skills, and the attributes. But I can tell you that these other ones here are even way more important, like the company's value, the projects they're working on, and then the performance expectations. So I'm going to quickly show you that in the job advert. And we're going to analyze this job advert later. But for now, let's kind of look at this job advert here. I'll share my screen again, and then you can see. Oh, I think I hit the wrong button. See a second here. Share my screen. So I don't know if anybody have a question right now. You can put your question in the chat box. That way, I can get to it. Okay. Okay. So I need to share this with you guys on Zoom. Are you seeing my screen? You're still seeing the slides?
No, we are seeing you at the moment.
Okay, so just give me a second here. Let me quickly share my screen. All right. So you should be able to see my screen now. I have a job advert. So this is a procurement business analyst advert. And then I've skipped a lot of things already. I took out some company, but I think I should have added it because this speaks to some of the things that we ignore. Um, Let me see if I can still get that job advert somewhere here. Yes, let me look at it. Okay, so I'm gonna share that job advert with you guys on Zoom. I'll see if I can also do that. Okay, so this is a procurement business analyst role. So you can see here, I'm using checklists, and these tools are here, but of course, if we don't know about these tools, we might not be using them. So if you get a job advert, I always advise. So for a beginner in the SWOT analysis, because this is basically SWOT analysis of a job advert, I encourage that you try this on your own whenever you get a job advert. Yeah, in the beginning, it will be very tedious thing to do, to analyze a job advert before you actually start writing your resume. But I always encourage that. So what you would do for me here is, you highlight the job, just like you copy and paste it here, and you highlight it, and then you click on this button if you're using Google Doc, and then you can choose the checklist option. So this is the checklist right here. So if you click on the checklist, this is what you will get. You will get checklist in place of paragraphs, or in place of um, you know the lines that are on this job ad. So this particular one here, I can if you see something that is important that I would like to highlight or to make a checklist, all I have to do is put a cursor here and then put enter. So you can see how that became a checklist now. Just put a line before that. So usually I would use action words. So action words would be my cue for making this a checklist. So it might not make sense now, but I will show you something to demonstrate what I'm saying. So did you see this? Conducting marketing scans on pricing trends. So this conducting is an action word. Okay, you can see analyzing is also an action word. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So then you might have a blob of paragraphs, right? But if you want to make it a checklist, just look for those action words. Okay, so here is one: participate. See, very, very direct. Participate. So put a cursor there, press enter. It becomes a checklist, right? So this is something that I will encourage you to do when you're trying to just pick a resume that you already have and then start now trying to, I know a lot of people will do that. You're not trying to, correct one thing or the other, put keywords, and yeah, you end up getting a garbage resume, the ones that go through the black hole that you don't hear from anybody. So now this is the resume, I mean the job advert we're analyzing right now. It says procurement business analyst. So this is an important keyword that you need to show on your resume. All right. So note that. So what I normally do is I will highlight that. So when I'm introducing myself on my resume, I'm introducing myself as a procurement business analyst, even though maybe I'm actually a buyer. Okay. And you'll see the reason why later. So expertise, they want somebody who has expertise in this. So I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to make them a checklist because it's important. And this is the reason why they are highlighted in here. So see another one, reporting. Um, so here they've mentioned all the things that are important here. So I'm going to highlight those two. These are also very important, especially for keywords. Okay, so this also helps you to understand that if you don't have these key skills that they're asking for here, you already know what's going to happen to your resume. But what you can do is that you can actually put them on your resume, but then make sure that if they call you for an interview, you've done your own work and ensure that you're not going there to flop. Okay, so the other one that is important here, did you say reporting? Okay, so you are reporting to the Senior Director of Strategic Procurement. This is also very important. So you need to be watching out for these on a job advert because this is telling you that this is the guy you are reporting to. But do you know what you can actually do? You can actually go on LinkedIn and look for this guy because they have a website and they have their employees on their website page on LinkedIn. So it is then, if this guy is online on LinkedIn, then you're able to find him, you are able to know who this person is. And you might ask me, okay, why should I go and look for the hiring manager? It is very, very important, right? Remember again, I said job search for most of the newcomers appears to be paperwork. But do you know who is actually going to decide if you're going to be hired? It is this guy that is going to decide that because you are reporting to him. So he has the most interest in whom is hired or maybe his own supervisor, right? So I said that earlier. So this guy is going to be the one that you need to reach out on LinkedIn. You reach out to him, introduce yourself, let him know you are interested in this role, and then put some type of value proposition out, like what you have done in the past that is similar to what this role is about, and share your resume. Now, it's up to him to look out for you, to look out for your resume. That's not your own. That's not what you decide for him. But you have done what you're supposed to do. You've given the resume. And why I'm saying this is that this is the way that employers are hiring. They hire through people whom they know, people who have reached out to them, people who are within their network. Now, if you, a lot of people will say, oh, in fact, some people might be even be scared to reach out to this guy, but you're limiting your chances. You're limiting your chances by not reaching out to him, because at the end of the day, that resume that you are using to apply online might not even, he might not even see it at the end of the day. But if you reach out to him directly, the chances that he's going to see it is very high, right? So that is it. So let's continue with this. So what I will also do is, if I see any other important, so here you see this is also important. It says supporting continuous improvement initiatives to streamline processes, reduce costs, and improve customer service. So this is another one that is very important. Right. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but I think you get the idea that right here we are highlighting in a checklist the things that we need to put in our resume when we are drafting our resume. Right. So and you can see it's a long list. Okay. So I'm going to stop this right now. But that is one of the first things that you need to do to actually uh, write a SWOT resume. So one thing I didn't mention there also is that when you do this analysis, let me show it again. When you do this analysis on a job advert, right there and then, you also will be able to identify your strengths. That is the things that you actually possess that they're asking for. So, for example, if you have supply chain data analytics skills, then that is your strength. But if you don't have it, then that becomes your weakness, right? So these are the specific ways then that you will know how to draft your resume. And if you have a weakness, how do you address those weaknesses? Because you have to, because this is something that is important to them. That's why they have it here. If you don't address it, then the chances are they're not going to take your resume seriously. Okay. So I'm going to stop right here because of time. So what I want you guys to actually do is I want you guys to take a survey and do your own resume, do a self-assessment of your own resume right now based on what you can see. I think some people are still talking there. Just a second. Let me look who is speaking there. Okay. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to share that PowerPoint again. Okay. So the reason why I showed that job advert analysis, I want you to see those important aspects of. I want you to see the important aspect of the job advert. There's the company's value, really things that are of interest to them in terms of um, their values. So they want somebody who will share in their values. So these are things that you can speak to when you are writing your cover letter, for example. If you have worked with a company that has the same set of values as their own value, maybe indicate that in your cover letter. Although generally speaking, I don't do cover letters. It's just a waste of time most of the time. Then projects, when you see the type of projects that they're working on, it helps you to be able to emphasize on the projects that you also have done in the past that is similar to those projects that they're working on. And this is also where it is important to speak to people within the company because they are going to give you insights as to what is important to this company. And sometimes maybe they are even going to tell you if this is not the company you want to work with. We've seen those things before where they tell us that it's a toxic work environment because we reached out and so there's no point applying wasting your time because it's a toxic work environment. Who wants to work in a toxic work environment, right? So while it's important to reach out to people who work in the company, it's also important to reach out to those who have worked in the company. Now, performance expectations. So one of the things that I showed there in that job advert is performance expectations. Specifically, how your activity in that role is going to be adding value to the company. So this is very, very important. It's always like a separate paragraph in the advert. You need to pay attention to it because you want to now use those things as your highlight of achievements. I hope it's making sense. So if you have actually done that thing that they want this role to deliver in the past, then how about highlighting it as your achievement in your resume so that they see this guy is not just coming with competence or skills, but he has done this before, and we could see the results he's achieved doing this in his previous work. So that further confirms to that hiring manager that this is somebody you want to speak with, right? So responsibilities, of course, everybody knows this one. This is your experiences. Basically, you need to match this to your experiences in the resume. Qualifications and skills and attributes. So in the very first quarter of your resume, these are the things you want to highlight. We want to know how you qualified right away, right? You don't want to waste time to go to the bottom of your resume, your 5 pages resume, before we now see that, oh, you have SCMP, oh, you have, you know, SAP certification or things like that, or you have PMP. It needs to be, in fact, if you have PMP, it needs to be put against your name right there at the top of the resume because these are the social proofs we're talking about. You don't want to hide your social proof in the last page of your resume. Who has time for that? So these are the reason why you see a lot of qualified people are still ending up in the trash can because they are not highlighting what the hiring manager wants to see in the very first quarter of their resume. You're doing a curriculum vitae instead of doing a resume basically. So yeah, I just thought I should show this, just kind of understand what is going on in the back end. Because sometimes, you get this quietness, this um, lack of response, but these are the things that are going on. The very first thing is the applicants tracking system, which basically will take out like 98% of the applications that are received, leaving only just about 2%. That could be like maybe 10, that could be like 5, depends on the settings in the backend. Now this could be sent to maybe a lower, or do we say junior high human resources person to actually look through those resumes, depending on the type of job they're advertising. I mean, if it's a senior role, maybe not, you know. But for the type of roles that we are targeting, it probably be a junior person that will look at those resumes that was filtered out to see, okay, which one is actually worth going for an interview. And it's possible that this person is also the person that will call you on the phone, to know, okay, out of these 10 resumes that I got from the system after applicant tracking system has filtered them out, okay, it looks like these 5 are worth calling. Okay, I'll call these 5. And then that's when you get your phone interviews, that these phone calls. And then, some companies have this assessment, knowledge test that they will do. Especially the Manitoba government does that. I don't know if other public sector, and federal government also does that. Then there is this one-way video interviews that you will do. This is also still screening. There, basically, they want to make sure that if they are going to get you to talk to a hiring manager, they are not wasting the hiring manager's time. So they will do this one-way video that you will do, record yourself and answer some questions, so that they can reduce down the number of people that goes to meet with the hiring manager. So, and then this is when you go for the face-to-face interview. So a lot of people will be going through this. However, if you do not see anything at all, like there's no call, there's nothing whatsoever, there's even no confirmation that they received your resume, then it looks like you're being stuck somewhere here, right? So the applicant tracking system basically already is trashing your resume, and that's what we call the black hole. If you're not hearing anything, definitely your resumes are going to the black hole. So if you can scan this QR, I want you to do a quick assessment of your resume before we move on here, so that we can get the guests to then do your assessment and provide some feedback to you. So Just let me know if it's not working. So you can scan the QR code and then before you do an assessment. I think we have about 10 questions there, and you get a score. So that score will indicate, how well you're doing. So when I sent out a mail to those who registered, let them know that they should come with a job advert, maybe ones that they've applied to before or something that they're targeting, so that way it's more practical for your assessment. Is it working?
How do we scan it?
You would use your phone. You'll use the
Just have
QR.
one device.
You'll use the QR scanner on your phone.
I have actually scanned, but mine is showing this session will begin automatically when the host starts. So
Okay, let me check. That's what I was saying. Yeah, so I'll look at it now. Let me see. I thought I started it already. Okay, so it's showing we have 11 here. Can you try again? And for those who might be having issues with getting access to QR code, let me put the URL here in the chat box.
still showing same thing with mine. Okay.
Is there any other person able to access it now?
No, it's still showing.
No,
It's saying the session will begin automatically when the host starts. I tried it, and that's what it said. Showing the same thing. Like,
So I've started it again. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that these days. It does work without me having to do anything. Is it working now? Still not working?
no, mine is not. Mine is not working.
all of a sudden it says that I scored 0.
You didn't do the assessment. You didn't go through
No,
the
it
questions.
didn't allow me to. It didn't go through the questions at all.
Really? Any other person that tried it?
Yes, mine is not just working at all.
Okay, so let me give you the
It's still
test.
showing me session will be host to. And last week I had same issue. I couldn't do anything.
Okay, just hold on. Let me see if I can fix it. No, wait. Options.
Hello, please. Is there a way those that join with phone can also scan? Is there any way they can use to access?
He has put the link.
The link
He has
is
put
there.
the link in the chat. The link is in the chat. Go to the chat.
Thank
you. Yeah, but even with the link, I'm using the laptop and mine is still showing the session will begin automatically.
Same here. That's what it's telling me to. I've switched from my phone to my laptop. It's the same thing.
Just give me a second. I'm trying to figure out what the problem is.
Okay.
Same here too, Mr. Bedu. This is a Bolo speaking.
Okay. Live sessions. Yeah, it's showing me that there are other sessions that are open. I don't have any other session open. Just give me a second. Okay, I've closed all my sessions here. Hopefully it works this time. Let's give me a second here. Let me try it again. With all other tabs. Okay, I think it's working on my side now. Give me a second. Let me try it. Start solving. Okay. Okay. So let's try again. I think it's working on my side here, but let me see what you guys are seeing. Can you guys give it a try?
It's
Is it?
still saying the same thing.
Mm,
It's still saying the same thing on my laptop using the link.
Okay, actually, my own just showed me, thank you, you scored 0.0. Unfortunately,
okay,
maybe let me
let's
close
leave
it
it.
and open it again.
Let's leave it alone for now. Maybe we'll just do the one that the mentors will do. Let's look at that one. Maybe later I can send it if I'm able to fix it. I can send it via email to you guys to try it on your own. Unfortunately, it doesn't show that I have any injury on my side here. Let's see. Yeah, it's showing me the start survey here. And, right. Yeah, I can see the questions here on the side. Let me share my screen. Stop sharing. Okay, so this is what you guys are supposed to see at your end. You can see my screen now, right?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah, so this is what this is the survey that you guys are supposed to, because I'm just going through a test version of it now. It looks like it's working, but fortunately it's not showing on the side. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the slide, and then we can do assessment through the help of the mentors who are supporting us. Okay, so we'll go through that route. Okay, so let me share my screen once again. Yeah, let me imagine the number of open windows I have. I guess. Just one second. Okay. All right, so let's continue with the slide. We'll get back to that assessment. So for most people, I think for most people that have looked at their resume, I think this is the way that they see a resume. And if I might remind us, the challenge, or let's say the dilemma that we have with resume, as I expressed earlier, is the fact that we, the number of people that are actually screened by the applicant tracking system is about 98% of those that apply. But through a study we saw earlier, it's showing that actually just about 75% of applicants are not qualified. So there is this gap we have there. So this is the gap that most of applicants, especially immigrants, are falling into that crack. Um, and we already expressed a lot of the reasons why this is the case. The fact that when we come in, we don't really understand how the job search process works. Some of this also has to do with the fact that the resume that we bring in, it's not really fitted into the cultural um, fitness. Let me just put it that way, of what it is expected to look like here in Canada. So for a majority of us, this is what we see as a resume. So we see resume as a paperwork. In fact, majority of us brings curriculum vitae in, not resume, but we call it resume because every other person call it resume. But what is different between a resume um, and a curriculum vitae? A curriculum vitae is pretty much like a biography. Nobody wants to see your biography. I mean, it depends on the culture. There are some really funny resumes that I've seen showing uh, references on request, um, showing your education and trainings and things like this that are some of them are not even, nobody cares about some of these things that we're showing on resume, which I call actually a curriculum vitae. So now when it comes to a resume as a paperwork, what you will think it's expected is contact information, career objective, qualification, work experience, qualification, skill and skill attributes, education. So this is what most resumes look like. But what we really want our resumes to look like should be more of resume as a marketing tool, right? It should be more as a marketing resume as a marketing tool. Resume as a job search tool is important, but what is really key is to get the hiring manager to see our resume, and that's why it has to become a marketing tool. Um, so these are the things that you really want to show. Like this is the checklist for a resume that stands out. So in your professional summary, that very section you have there, there needs to be clarity and conciseness. When we say clarity, in that very professional summary, I want to know right away if this is a time waster as a hiring manager. So this particular professional summary, if you look at your resume and what we are seeing there is I'm great, I'm awesome, I'm fantastic. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that just to kind of capture what I see a lot. You're wasting the hiring manager's time. Because what we want to see in that block there is we want to see right away, do you have the qualifications for this role that you're applying to? Do you have the education? Do you have the experience specifically in the industry as as someone who has fulfilled that role before? What are your years of experience? Does it match the years of experience we're looking for? What are your accomplishments? So we want to see all these things right away because that is really what gets us curious to want to learn more about this person. Because if we're not saying that, you don't expect me to now go to your third page, your second page, you go and look for it. That resume is really not worth the time of the hiring man. They don't have the time for that. So in your summary, you need to totally change that place to be responding directly to the qualification requirements, to the performance expectations, but it has to be very concise. It doesn't have to be long and winded, stuff. Maybe just 5 bullet points. And I also encourage that the bullet point is not just a long blob that I'm struggling to even go through to see what you wrote there. Make it accessible, make it easy for them to read through it, and be able to make up their mind within the very first 5 seconds of looking at your resume. They already know they want to talk to this person. Yeah, that's the challenge you have right here. That actually serves the purpose of somebody who is reviewing, like, I go through the list of those steps, right? So at this point, it's not really the ATS. You've gone past the ATS. So it's now an hiring manager or an HR person that's looking at your resume. So you want clarity and conciseness in that very professional summary. And make it bullet point instead of these long winded blocks that I see every time. Now, relevant achievements. I mentioned earlier that in the job advert analysis, there are some paragraph that speaks specifically to how this person is going to be adding value to the company's goals. It will just be like 3 lines or 4 lines most of the time. It's not the experience section, it's not the responsibility section. So that area, you really want to pay attention to it, because what you want to do there is you want to have achievements that you have done in the past role that are similar to those things that they are looking for. So just so I'm not speaking um, you without giving you examples here, I'm going to quickly look at that business analyst thing that I showed you just now. If I can get it. Yeah, I think I opened it up as a separate document. Okay, so I'm showing it again. So now let me stop my screen here again. Sorry, I'm gonna have to show you this so that you can see what I'm talking about. Now, you can see my screen now. See, this is the area I'm talking about. See, this area, you will always see this in every job advert that is worth your time. Because some adverts are not worth your time. They don't even know what they are doing there in that company. So they want to have something like this. So this one is saying, it says the person you're reporting to, and it's also saying focusing on providing technical, analytical, and reporting support to the supply chain operations. So this is how the person working in this role adds value to the company. Then you see another one here: participate in supporting continuous improvement initiative to streamline processes, reduce costs. See, these are the performance expectations that I stated right here. So when you are writing the achievements in your resume, you want to tell me as an hiring manager what achievement you've done in the past that relates or that aligns with this performance expectation here for this job, right? First of all, the one that talks about technical, analytical, and reporting support, and then the second one that talks about supporting continuous improvement initiatives. So, what have you done in the past that aligns with these two? I want to see it as an achievement statement right after your professional summary, or even as a summary before your statement of experiences. So, because this is really what you are going to be delivering, and they want to see that social proof that you have done it before and you can do it again if you have done it before. So, that's what I'm talking about here, and it's very, very important to make sure that always appears in your resume. Now, we know the other stuff like strong action verbs. You always want to use strong action verbs when you are writing either your achievement or you're writing your experiences, past experiences. Now, alignment with jobs, meaning whatever you're writing, your experiences is aligning back to what they have stated this person will be doing. And it would always be different from job adverts to job adverts. See, this is where a lot of resumes ends up in the black hole, because you are always sending the same bland, boring resumes that doesn't connect back to what the employer or the hiring manager is expecting. Do you realize that an hiring manager took their time to actually prepare that job specification? It went through ranks to be approved. But then when you are applying to this job, you think it's just nothing, and you just send the same old resume to apply to that job, and you expect them to take you seriously, right? Now it's not going to happen. So you want to take your time to really make sure that what you are putting, even if you do not have exactly the same job title, what you are writing here, you want to make sure it aligns with what is being expected to do on that job. So quantifiable results as well. We want to see numbers. Companies want to see numbers of what you have done in the past. So instead of just writing words about activities, write quantified, write achievements, accomplishments, with quantifiable results. Check spelling, grammar errors. You don't want anything to take away from your professionalism. As saying, resume usually is your first impression. And keyword optimization, this is helping you with the ATS that we mentioned earlier. You want to make sure that all those things that I was bolding out in the job advert, you want to make sure that all those things are indicated, or they are shown on the resume for keyword optimization in the skills area, and then also relevant education. This relevant education already, if it's part of their requirement, actually want to show it up way up in your resume already, letting them know you have a degree, you have the certification they're asking for. They said SAP ERP is an asset. Well, you want to emphasize it right way up in the resume, not waiting until they get to the education section before they realize, oh, this guy has an SCMP certificate. Guess what? They might not get to it because you didn't say, you didn't mention anything like that in the beginning of your resume. So, what I would like to do because of time is let's go to the assessment by the guys that are joining us today. They look at your resume, they compare it with what you have in terms of job advert that you have prepared. If you don't have that, they can just make an assessment based off uh, what you provided. But I think it's very important because the weight of alignment with the job advert is very big on this assessment. So it will be important that you have something to show. So I will go into the breakout sessions to do that assessment. I think we have, let me open the breakout session here. So we have, okay, Amrit is not here, so probably will change that to my name. Okay, so just for the sake of time, we will only be able to do 3 maximum in terms of the number of people that we can look at their resume. Um, Especially those who have a job advert are the guys that we should actually prioritize. So I'm going to start that room. I'll give us 20 minutes so that we can come back here and finalize on this session. So 20 minutes. We'll open all the rooms. Again, you can join any group you want, but we're not doing more than 3 in each room. Okay, we're not doing more than 3. Let me know if you're able to choose. Okay, you should be able to choose the rooms now. So Remy, Paul, and then Bio, and then you have me as well. So I'll be watching my own. You can join. I'll come and join you once everybody is in. Okay, I've seen people are just trickling in. I'll be watching here just to make sure that everybody is in the room. If I don't see you in a room yet, I'll probably put you in in the room just to make sure that you are not left in the main room. I see two people in my room, so I'll be joining soon. While you are joining, you guys can just introduce yourself, just kind of get to know better. Paul, is Paul there? I think I don't. I saw Paul earlier in his room, but I don't see him anymore. He go out of the session. Oh, I think maybe he's just joining back. Um, Lucky, are you able to help with a review of resumes? Lucky, are you there?
Yeah, maybe for 10 minutes because I have an appointment at 2.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, so maybe what we can do is, can you join my room so you can help with anyone who is looking to review their resume there?
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. So I will just stay here while you help, and then when you are gone, I can come in.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I can add you. Let me add you
I
myself.
Yeah, I click on join, but
Yeah, I've added
okay,
you now.
it's good.
Yeah, so Lucky will be in my own room to help with the review. Let me see. There's nobody in Buyer's room, so I'm going to move people in if I don't see them in the rooms. Let me see Buyer's room here. Okay, so So that's how you address weaknesses. Now, opportunities. When it comes to opportunities, let me see here. So when it comes to addressing opportunities in a resume, usually this will be maybe a project they're working on, and as I mentioned earlier, in the achievement section of your resume, can you speak to a project you worked on that is similar to the project that they have highlighted, and then use that as an opportunity to highlight what you have achieved in the past in terms of results? Because then this speaks to the ability for you to also deliver on that job. So there are different ways you can address opportunity, but ultimately speaking to maybe the opportunity for you to bring your skill sets to addressing or to delivering on the projects that they are working on. So that represents an opportunity for the employer, right? Given that you have done something similar before. Now, if you haven't done something similar before, then address it the same way we have addressed the weaknesses. If you know what I'm talking about. So the last one here is threats. So when you are doing your job advert analysis, there are some way you would identify what represent threats for the employer. So in the job advert analysis, you will see them repeating something like 5 times. So they are repeating something, maybe the need for you to understand regulatory requirements or to have uh, knowledge of the public procurement law or the competitive bidding law in Canada. Okay, so they have emphasized this severally, and you can see it in the job advert analysis. It means that it is a concern for them. That's what threats are. Sometimes you will see that there is this recurring requirement. So when they were detailing the high level objectives of the job or the company's value, they mentioned something like this, and then they went into the requirement. They still went on saying the same thing several times. That means that they have concerns about that thing. So it is then for you to specifically address that both in your resume and your LinkedIn. I mean, on your cover letter, letting us know how you have addressed such things in the past from your previous job, because this is something that is of a concern to them, and you can't just overlook it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, resume is a marketing tool, so you need to take advantage of all of these things that you're seeing in the job advert to your own advantage by leveraging them either to speak to your expertise, to emphasize your achievements, your accomplishments, and to elaborate how you've been able to do this, how you've been able to deliver on similar uh, tasks, projects, or activities in the past. So this is what SWOT represents. These things, honestly, unless you really get hands-on to do them, it appears like, oh, I'm saying something really out of you being practical in what I'm saying, but really it's something that you need to get hands-on to really do, to understand how it works. It's about shifting your behavior from what I've been doing in writing your resumes to changing it to something different that will get results, that will get you to be noticed by the hiring manager. So here are some of the things you need to do going forward in your resume drafting to ensure that you have a resume that is seen by the employer, the hiring manager, and also that is not screened out by the ATS. Remember when we started, we realized that the numbers that they are showing about people that have been screened and those that are qualified is actually, there's a big gap there. We have about 25% of people who are qualified that are actually not being selected, and because of this resume issue is why this is happening. So we want to address that. I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. You're applying to these jobs, you're just basically spreading resumes all over the place. They're not really paying much attention to, okay, how do you really get somebody to see this resume. If your resume is not getting interviews, it's not working. It's as simple as that. So use keywords. Okay, keywords to identify and include relevant keywords to ensure your resume passes the ATS. So ATS is the very first step, the very first hurdle that your resume needs to scale. And if you're not using those keywords that we highlighted in the job advert analysis, the chances are you're not going to be getting uh, selected or shortlisted for interviews. Now, tailor each resume. You need to tailor your resume to each job application. It's not an easy thing to do. I can tell. Sometimes I've done it over and over, even with guys that I work with, and I still find it a challenging task. But this is the work that has to be done if you want employers and hiring managers to see your resume. You want to customize your resume for each job application, uh, highlighting the most relevant experiences, skills, and achievements. Again, you see achievements showing up there. Um, Now, there's another issue. So some people will tell me that okay, well, when they are applying to jobs, there are always different job roles that they are applying to. They are applying to about five, six, seven, 10 different job roles. Okay, that's a problem. You need to scale down in order to scale up. So you need to scale down the number of roles that you are spending your time applying to. What I recommend is three different roles. So for these three different roles, have resumes that you've optimized. Say, for example, somebody who is trying to break into procurement, you can have a buyer role resume, you can have a procurement analyst resume, you can have a procurement coordinator resume, and each one of them is tailored for these specific roles. So that whenever there is a job advert that is looking for a buyer, what you really do in terms of the SWOT resume is to look at the job advert. You can do the detailed analysis that I did where you had to do checklisting each of those expectations and then use it to boost that buyer resume you already had as a template, right? And then you will need to do beyond just keywords. You need to emphasize on the accomplishments that is relevant to what they have indicated in the resumes. The job advert. So highlight achievement. I've seen a lot of resumes that don't do this. Well, achievement is one of those social proof of your capability. At least you need to have minimum accomplishments, measurable, measurable achievements. That is results, concrete results. We want to see numbers. No, that's also another issue. You're like, yeah, I've done this a long time. I can't remember the numbers. Please come up with some numbers that you can defend. It doesn't have to be accurate. Just come up with some numbers that you can use to justify the results you have accomplished. That you know is something you could defend. Just not add outrageous numbers. Okay. So also optimize the format. Use a clean professional layout with clear headings and bullet points. Bullet points are very helpful. It saves, the person who is reading. It helps them to to have easy access to the information you're passing across, not long text paragraphs that will basically bore them out. So use bullet points as much as you can. And there are tools that you can also use here. Grammarly is a very good tool for taking out grammatical errors. I always have Grammarly on my computer or my just pretty much everywhere. It's there. It has an API that you can use to integrate it with pretty much anything you're doing on your computer, be it Microsoft Word, be it, Google Doc. It's all over the place. So anything you're typing automatically helps you to correct them, so that you could take away those grammatical errors and maybe the structure to be much more easy on the eye. So include relevant skills. So when we talk about skills, it's not just soft skills, but technical skills. And when we did the job advert analysis, you have seen all those relevant skills come up. So you make them checklists so that when you are doing your resume, you include those specific skills. So here is another question. What if I don't have those skills? Right? Now, again, that becomes a weakness, right? So mention the skills that you have that are close to it, or mention trainings that you have done, even though you do not have maybe a certification in that area. Mention the trainings that you have done, that are preparing you, or that are work in progress towards getting what they're asking for. Professional summary. So this is the one that I said you need to be at the beginning, right? Like you need to make a bullet point and let it basically uh, emphasize how your experience matches what they're looking for, uh, the skills that you have, and also career goals, or even unique uh, experiences that matches those expectations that they have stated in the job advert. So these are the things that you need to do to optimize. Finally, there are tools. Okay, we have there are a lot of tools out there. There are JobScan. JobScan is very good. I hope they have implemented AIs now, because before it was pretty much just basic programming things that they have there, which you could use it to optimize keywords on your resume. Then, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. ChatGPT, in a way, is garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you are going to get something very relevant to the jobs you're applying to, don't just go to ChatGPT and just dump stuff there. Try to do this basic work first. Now, ChatGPT just helps to then improve it without necessarily sounding like it's some robot that have created this resume, because these things you can readily see in the resume if it's not really done, like the person hasn't done the homework, all they just did was just copy and paste in ChatGPT. Yeah, you need to do much more than that. You need to do the homework first based on what we have discussed so far, and then now you can use ChatGPT to improve upon it. Again, resume is a marketing tool and the baseline requirement for a job. So usually the first remote test on your job search roadmap. So you need this to get results. The results you're looking for is interviews. If you're not getting interviews, then go back to your resume. Go back to the drawing board. Go and fix your resume. But I'm also going to emphasize that it is not just resume. We started talking about the need to also engage people in the industry. That's a complementing strategy to your resume strategy. So that's where I will leave it for today, guys. I don't know if anybody have questions. But what I would like to say is, especially for the assessment, because of the challenges we had with the assessment, you can scan this QR code to schedule a 15 minutes chat with me. But in advance, send your resume and your job advert, okay, before we have the session, because I have to do the assessment first, and then when we talk over the phone, I could point out the things that needs to be addressed in your resume. So Chika has his arms up. You have a question? Chika, are you there?
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned some these apps or that you can use to write our resume. You mentioned Grammarly. You mentioned GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one you mentioned that I did not get.
Job scan. So there is job scan.
Yeah, I think before just
There's Grammarly, then ChatGPT. In fact, ChatGPT needs to be a different topic entirely, because it could actually help you throughout the entire job search process. You can use it to actually figure out what type of questions you're probably going to be asked. You can use it for a whole lot of things. You can use it to improve your resume. You can use it for, I've used it for a whole lot of things. So this is something that you can definitely leverage on your job search when it comes to ChatGPT. Um, so I think Ugochukwu, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. My question is this. I would like to know what your take is on this. I've often heard most people say when there's a job advert and it's past 24, 48 hours, it's been advertised, there's no need to go ahead to apply for it as it's likely going to into garbage. What do you think?
No, that's the, I don't know. Some people just say these things to feel like they are informed. And by the way, even already the jobs that are put out there online, majority of them they already have candidates anyways. So either way, um, it doesn't, that point is mute because actually I've seen a recruitment uh, professional has actually answered that question before. Companies are different, companies to companies. They have their different policies. I believe the whole point of what they are saying there is that it's important that you put in a resume sooner when a job is posted, because they might find somebody who is actually a very good fit within 24 hours. Depending on their needs, it might be something where they might just want to go right away, but it doesn't change the fact that if there's a need and the need has not been filled and they posted it online, that you still need to apply if this is something that is of interest to you, because you never know what is happening in the back end. So that is a mute point, honestly. That because it's been posted within 24 hours, there's no need. No, you are missing a lot of opportunities, because the other things you need to realize is that when you apply to job, your resume is also going to their pipeline, right? And this means that even if they decided that they're going to keep every other resume after 24 hours, the tendency that if there's another role that they want to fill in the next 2 months, that they want to pick just from those guys that applied but were not shortlisted because of having to move quickly, then you might have missed that second opportunity to get interviewed. So it's not something I will ever advise to anyone. If there's a job advert, apply, but beyond applying, reach out to people within the company. That's even way much more better in terms of gaining insight about what is going on about a job posting. Get to meet people inside that company. They will provide even way much more information about what is going on in that job posting. I hope that makes sense. Bayo, you had your hand raised up.
Yes, I just wanted to share an example to encourage people about LinkedIn, connections
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. Yeah, and it's something that you've been talking about here. When you tell people to reach out to people to connect, sometimes some people just reach out once and go away.
Mm.
You understand? So this has happened to me in the last 2 weeks. There have been some recruiters that have reached out on LinkedIn, some here in Saskatoon, some one of them in Manitoba, and they've not responded. They didn't respond. But one thing that I kept on doing was every time they had a post, I commented on the post. I
Mm.
liked their post. I kept up engagement.
Mm.
And this week, two of them reached out, and somebody says, "Oh, I went through your profile. I saw that you are doing this job. That am I interested? The one, am I interested in moving? That there's an opportunity in Manitoba. Am I interested in moving?" And I said, "Ah." So now I have to respond. I say, "Unfortunately, due to family commitments, I can't leave Saskatoon." But it was instructive to me because, and she just said, she started by saying, "Thank you for responding to my post." She posted something about recruitment, and I said, "Oh, nice." And this week, a second one again reached out to me. "Oh, thank you for liking my post, but I've looked at your profile. I see that you have this kind of skills that we want to." And again, it was about connecting with them. They didn't respond to any of my private messages, but I kept on. Anytime they posted something, I kept on responding. I kept on liking their comments. So I just encourage. That's all part of networking.
Mm.
You don't know when it may not be immediately, but you'll be surprised that when they now need someone to headhunt, they would literally look at, okay, this person, can we look at his profile? And that's how, so it's just to encourage people What network is not just about going on somebody, asking them connect with me, and you don't talk to the person at all again, or you don't put yourself in the person's face. That's just what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Yeah. Very well, Bayo. You're very, very right. And I think that answers the question that is in the chat box here. Do you think it's a good idea to reach out to a hiring manager? Yeah, well, I think I started with that, right? When I was talking about, they actually mentioned the job title of the hiring manager in the job advert. That shows you should reach out. Reach out to that guy because, you know, you realize that applying online is a gatekeeping process, right? Did you see all the things we went through? It's a gatekeeping process. But then at the end of all of those steps, who is going to see your resume? This same guy. And now you don't want to reach out to that guy on LinkedIn. No, come on. In fact, the job that I do at the moment at the Red River College is as an instructor. I reach out to the hiring manager. Even way before I applied, I went to one of their conferences because I was actively looking for an instructor's role. And it was there I met one of the instructors who said, "Oh, yeah, they're actually developing, um, they're working on a supply chain management program at the Red River College because they haven't started then." So I happened to be the first faculty member because of that. I was very instrumental in developing all the courses for the supply chain management program there. But imagine that I didn't do all of those legwork myself. I wouldn't have gotten in contact with the hiring manager because what that instructor did for me was he connected me directly with the hiring manager, right? And even though they posted it online, I was in touch with the hiring manager for that role. So if there was any way to say this, I would say every time you're applying to a job, figure out what the hiring manager is. I think there's even a tool for that. So there's another tool that you can actually use to establish who the hiring manager is for a job that is posted. I forgot the name of that tool. And then once you know who that person is on LinkedIn, actually, we'll get you the person's name on LinkedIn. Once you put in the job title and maybe location, and then you can reach out to that person on LinkedIn. So it's very, very important part of your job search strategy to reach out to the hiring manager. I hope that answered the question. Yeah, I would like to close down here. We spend way beyond the time that we normally close here. So I have the QR code up here for those who still want to have the assessment. I'm going to share the, the link here. For those who are in supply chain, I will also encourage you to join our platform. Next week, we are, so the third and the fourth Saturday of the month is when we zoom in on supply chain. So we're having a mock interview for SAP business analysts and SAP material management professionals. Those who just recently completed our ICP consulting, so we're preparing them for IT career in supply chain management. So they're going to be having a mock interview on Saturday. So we encourage you to join us for that. Those who are supply chain folks, use this link to join our platform, and from there we can onboard you to uh, our WhatsApp group. We have over 500 professionals on that platform, and well, let's keep it going. Next, I want to appreciate Bio. Lucky already left, and I think Paul also already left. You see, it's not easy to bring these guys here because of work commitment, but they still came all the same because they have also been able to get resources and help through our network, and they're just also giving it back. And this is what we want for you. We want you to get to break in through our network so that you can also help others who are coming behind. This is really the what our network is all about. And having said that, you guys have a good weekend. I'll be looking forward to our session on Saturday for the mock interview. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.